purpose of this is to inform citizens of a widespread practice to which he/she may not be formerly aware of, as well as to prevent future victimizations. The definition of gangstalking. Gangstalking is stalking by multiple perpetrators, most of whom are unknown to the victim, for the expressed desire to harass using psychological abuse and intimidation. Synonyms for gangstalking. Synonyms for gangstalking are not limited to, but include the following: group stalking, cause stalking, community stalking, vigilante stalking, organized stalking, multi-stalking, and gaslighting. The goal of gangstalking. The expressed goal of gangstalking is to silence a victim, drive a victim insane, and possibly to the point of suicide, or destroy the victim's reputation and believability, as the person will likely be viewed as mentally ill should they complain or report the abuse. Gangstalking is also used to gather information on individuals as well as force individuals to move or leave an area. Motivations for the abuse. Motivations for gangstalking vary. Revenge for a real or imagined offense, true or false accusations of a horrible crime of which the victim has gotten away with, silencing a corporate whistleblower, defecting from a cult, a perceived enemy of a group or organization, and knowing too much are all examples of possible motivations. Due consideration should be used, as the motivations of the stalking groups are in no way limited to the above. Who are the stalkers? The stalkers, for the most part, are everyday citizens. Other stalkers are street thugs who have been hired to harass and intimidate. Some stalkers are actual private investigators who have been hired to gather information concerning the victim. Many stalkers are members of volunteer police groups. Why people participate in gangstalking. Some stalkers are told lies, either positive or negative in nature, in order to gain their participation. Some stalkers are paid or receive other benefits. Stalkers belonging to an organization may simply be following orders. Some stalkers may use their participation in order to repay a past favor. Racism, prejudice, anti-Semitism, homophobia, or otherwise hatred of a victim. Peer pressure/need to fit in. Former stalkers have stated they participated out of fear of becoming the next target should they go against the group. Entertainment value/thrill of participation in an illegal activity. Some stalkers mistakenly believe it is their civil duty. Who or what is ultimately behind gangstalking? Corporations, government organizations, military, societies/fraternities/orders, religious cults and destructive New Age groups, concerned community groups/vigilante groups, criminal organizations, volunteer police organizations, etc. Examples of gangstalking: harassment, slash tires, threatening phone calls, verbal assaults by strangers, property damage, death threats, peeping toms following on foot or by vehicle, bizarre notes and drawings left, loitering, anonymous false accusations to friends, family, and neighbors, character assassination, smear campaigns, blacklisting, psychological abuse, etc. Tactics used by stalkers. Anchoring. Anchoring is a technique employed by stalkers to implant a false motivation or reason behind the stalking, preventing the victim from discovering the truth. In more sinister examples, anchoring involves the implantation of evidence to persuade the victim some other group or organization is responsible for the abuse. Baiting. The term baiting is a stalking tactic used to lure victim into environments or situations which cause further problems to the victim. Often baiting involves tricking a victim into committing a crime or unknowingly engaging in an illegal activity. Brighting. Brighting is a term jokingly referred to by stalkers to indicate the practice of repetitive flashing of a car's high-beam headlights. The victim is usually followed and may be flashed from either a tailgating vehicle or a passing or oncoming one. Brighting also occurs when bright lights are flashed into a victim's home windows. Color harassment. Color harassment is literally the use of color to harass a victim. Usually, monochromatic color schemes are used, though this choice is pretty much up to the stalkers. An example of color harassment would be a line of stalkers, in red shirts, circling a victim. Color harassment is often combined with other stalking tactics. Convoy. Convoy is a tactic of stalkers referring to the practice of a group of tailgating cars passing repeatedly in front of the home of the victim. Vehicles used may be of the same color, and stalkers may honk the car horn or flash the car headlights as they pass. Cyberstalking. Cyberstalking is a related group of harassing behavior occurring via internet/online. Cyberstalking includes, but is not limited to, computer hacking, trolling, spamming, often including porn deluges, verbal assaults, character assassination, and impersonations of the victim, directed conversation. Directed conversation is a term referring to a stalking tactic using strangers' conversation to both intimidate and to convey to the victim that they are under surveillance. During directed conversation, 2 or more stalkers will approach near to the target and engage in normal conversation with one another. The conversation is purposefully made at a level so that the victim can adequately hear what is being said. During directed conversation, personal information concerning the victim is inserted into the speech and emphasized by the stalkers in a fashion that most non-victims would not be able to discern as harassment. The purpose of directed conversation is to harass a victim, as well as make the victim appear mentally unstable should they attempt to complain about such abuse. Electronic harassment. Electronic harassment is the use of technological devices to spy on or cause harm to targeted victims. For example, exposure to a high magnetic field has been shown to induce hallucinations in humans, while exposure to intense microwave radiation induces psychotic episodes and causes brain damage. A frequent form of electronic harassment involves beaming a low-frequency hum or tone into a victim's home or general area. Over time, the exposure causes the victim to lose sleep, become agitated, and suffer the effects of prolonged stress. Such tactics are also being used in cases of hostage situations as well as covert government operations. Electronic harassment. Ghosting. The term ghosting refers to the practice of rearranging or moving of a victim's home furniture, lawn decorations, desk decorations at work, etc. The purpose of ghosting is to make a victim question his or her sanity. Ghosting is also designed to make others question the sanity of the victim, especially if the victim attempts to complain of the abuse. Mimicry. Mimicry is a specialized form of harassment in which the stalkers publicly imitate every movement made by the victim. Mobbing. Mobbing is a term that describes group bullying. Of itself, mobbing is not equated with gangstalking. However, mobbing may be a tactic used by the perpetrators of gangstalking. Noise campaign. A noise campaign is an orchestrated effort to produce stress in a victim through prolonged exposure to significant noise levels. A noise campaign can range from multiple neighbors routinely playing loud music, individual stalkers with air horns or fireworks, or organized repair work that involves a high level of noise. Sensitization. Sensitization is a psychological term referring to the forced association between a stimuli and a corresponding reaction. Stalkers use sensitization to psychologically abuse a victim. For example, if a stalker constantly harasses a victim while wearing a blue baseball cap, then over time the victim will begin to believe anyone wearing a blue baseball cap is a stalker and is coming to harass. Sensitization undoubtedly creates an extreme level of fear in a victim, in direct fulfillment of the intentions of the stalkers. Street theater. Street theater is a term used to describe the odd actions and behaviors that stalkers do in public in an attempt to rile the victim. Such behavior often borders on the extremely bizarre and is aimed at a blurring of the boundaries between reality and fantasy in the minds of the victims. Examples of street theater: baiting, bribing, color harassment, convey, directed conversation, ghosting, mimicry, noise campaigns, etc. Variations of gangstalking. Gaslighting. The term gaslighting originates from the 1944 film Gaslight. In the movie, the character of Gregory Anton, played by actor Charles Boyer, attempts to drive the character Pauline, played by actress Ingrid Bergman, insane. The phrase gaslighting has come to mean similar actions and behavior as used in the film against a victim. Consumer stalking. Consumer stalking is harassment and abuse directed at a consumer who has either filed a complaint against a company, filed a lawsuit against a company, or who is made aware of illegal activity occurring within a company. Often companies will fund stalkers simply in an attempt to prevent the victim from filing a lawsuit via using fear and intimidation tactics. Consumer stalking can also be used to describe certain illegal activities of debt collectors. Corporate stalking. The term corporate stalking refers to a particularly severe form of gangstalking, where a corporation actually provides funding toward the harassment and abuse of a targeted individual, usually someone who is a whistleblower, a perceived problem employee, or else an employee who has witnessed illegal activity occurring within the corporation. The most sinister and downright evil tactic used during corporate stalking is forcing the victim to see the company psychologist. In most cases, the company psychologist is made aware that the victim is a dissident and a threat that needs to be eliminated. A false diagnosis of general psychosis, schizophrenia, or other mental illness is made, as well as a recommendation of institutionalization. The white glove treatment. The white glove treatment is slang for gangstalking, as jokingly referred to by the Masons who either participate in or know of its usage against so-called enemies of Freemasonry. Note the phrase "the white glove treatment" is not limited to Freemasonry, as members of similar groups and organizations often practice gangstalking. Also realize that gangstalking isn't, and has never been, sanctioned by any Grand Lodge or governing body of Freemasonry. It is a rogue practice carried out by groups of Masons without sanction or permission from superiors. This said, the practice is, unfortunately, widespread. Workplace mobbing. Workplace mobbing is mobbing that occurs on the job, and for a variety of reasons. Motivations behind this form of gangstalking include, but are not limited to, the following: mobbing used to force a person to quit a job, usually in order to prevent paying of a benefit such as a severance package, unemployment, or retirement, silencing an employee who has knowledge of illegal activities occurring in the company, or forcing an employee to quit/resign and to open the position to another candidate. Mobbing has recently become a serious issue in corporate environments. Many countries, like Canada, Australia, and the USA. Does the word gang, as in gangstalking, refer to street gangs? No, the word gang refers to multiple people who organize/group together for a common purpose. What is the difference between stalking by a single perpetrator and gangstalking? All forms of stalking are physically, emotionally, and psychologically harmful to the victim. With regards to gangstalking, the abuse is particularly invasive, as the victim is not able to distinguish friend from foe. The majority of the population is aware of cases such as jilted lover as stalker and can readily identify key features of such abuse. The little-known phenomena of gangstalking allows the perpetrator's anonymity and enables future victimizations, as stalkers are actually encouraged by the lack of repercussions. Please keep in mind that victims of gangstalking have to deal with an abuse engineered to make them appear insane should they complain to authorities. It is no wonder that victims of gangstalking are far more likely to commit suicide than victims of individual stalkers. Is gangstalking illegal? Yes. Despite what the leaders or members of stalking groups say or believe, all forms of stalking and harassment are illegal. Criminal stalking laws by state. Has any former stalker ever spoken out against gangstalking? Yes. David Lawson, a licensed private investigator in Florida, participated in gangstalking for approximately 12 years. He has since written a book, Terrorist Stalking in America, detailing how and why the government, corporations, organizations, and societies hire people to stalk, torture, and harass certain individuals. What type of person is most at risk for becoming a victim of gangstalking? Minorities, whistleblowers, activists, homosexuals, dissidents, suspected pedophiles despite the truth of any allegations, informants, people who know too much, political rivals, witnesses to a crime, people who were at the wrong place at the wrong time, victims of human experimentation, etc. Is it true that police often participate in gangstalking? Unfortunately, yes. Many police officers are also members of organizations that practice gangstalking. Also, many police officers use community groups to help keep neighborhoods safe from would-be predators, disregarding the innocent people who get harassed and stalked in the process. The police officers who are sympathetic towards victims of gangstalking have admitted that they are fully aware of the phenomena, but have little power to stop it due to its widespread nature. What part of the country is one most likely to be gangstalked? Victims have reported gangstalking in every state of the Union, as well as international.